What are we? We are excited. Hi, I'm Megan Thomas, and I am here to review an early career designer's portfolio. Let's get started. So I'm looking at Gosia's portfolio, and that's how they added their name to why do I keep struggling with the form? It's just a form. It's a freaking Google form. Anywho, but Gosia has, Josia, now I don't know because I'm not terribly familiar. Okay, I'm not familiar with Polish names. So hopefully I am not butchering that. You didn't give me instructions on how to pronounce it. No worries. We're going to figure this out. So I have not yet reviewed a portfolio that is fully hosted on Behance. So we're going to learn some interesting details together. So Josia says they are a UX UI designer and they are in Warsaw, Poland. I hope everything's going okay over there. Let's see what we're looking at. So we got a dashboard UI design, scan and go mobile app, a UX UI case study to find a missing pet. Then we've got the resume. That's good. Flower shop website redesign. I'm going to check that one out because it feels the closest to a real project. Excuse me. Hopefully nobody heard that burp. Let's edit this. All right. It looks like you've got a lot of things going on here, and this is really exciting. So I'm going to choose the one that I feel the most capable of reviewing. So one of the things that I will say is frustrating for people who are reviewing portfolios is that Behance does not really give you a lot of freedom in how you do your layout. So my guess, and the reason I'm saying the guess is because before I even jump into this case study, you can see from my little mouse cursor here, it looks like a magnifying glass with a plus in the middle of it. So that means we are only looking at images. Now, I'm not saying that hiring managers, even in Europe, have any disabilities with reading text in images. However, it does make it harder to really get into the details of what it is that you've put on your portfolio. So this is one very, very long image, and that's it. So what would be kind of awkward about this, and I'm kind of hesitating because I'm like, you know what? I wonder if hiring a UX UI designer in Europe is like the hiring process. Is it significantly different than how we do them here in the US? I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and take a tiny little stab at making a guess, and I think that it is not, it's not that much different. So do you have a slide deck where if they asked you to do a portfolio review where you walk them through your design process, would you be able to do that? Or would you bring them to Behance and, scroll down the screen? That gets really distracting and it becomes difficult for people to follow because it's not the same as a presentation, which is like, here's enough information on a slide. This is very similar to go to the website and scroll up and down a whole bunch of times. And that gets really overwhelming and it comes off as a lack of professionalism. So hopefully you have this set as a separate case study slide deck as well, in which case I'm wondering why you wouldn't share that as your portfolio. So Behance is an interesting choice. I would suggest having anything else also support this. And I do mean massive shout out to Sarah Duty because having a PDF portfolio is 1000% valid. You are going to run into 1% of people that get really snippy. It has to be a website. Okay, it doesn't. And if they only need a website, then that's not the kind of person you want to work for anyway. So just a thought, but yes. Okay, so you've got a UI/UX up here. It said, no, you're right. It said UI/UX. I misread that. I transposed those to be a UX/UI case study. Let me actually double check that you don't have any. Well, this one says UX/UI as well instead of just dashboard UI. This also says UX, but my guess is this is probably just a mock-up. It didn't actually become a project. So I was hoping this is as close as possible to a real world project. So a website redesign for a flower shop. Okay. Let's see. So this may be the old one. Maybe it's the new one. I'd love to know if this is the new one or the old version, just out of curiosity. So the design of the existing site looks outdated. There's a lot of white space. different font sizes. The hero section is cluttered. There's no CTA on the first page. Successive lines with product proposals are very close together, which makes the site seem crowded. The goal of this project is to create a modern and user-friendly design that can attract potential customers. Yes, that is what we need. Target group of users are people looking for floral gifts, looking for options to order flowers and other things. They care about fast delivery, same day. They don't know what to choose, so they pick categories. They don't know anything about flowers, so they need the help of a specialist. They want a specific bouquet in a different size. This right here is good details and good context for the project. Please put it in bullet point format, because it makes it easier to process this information. The same with the design looks outdated. There's a lot of white space in different fonts. Like, white space is actually good in most designs. So I'm not sure that's something that I would call out. Different font sizes that feel maybe disjointed. Give some context and make it really easy for me to process. Don't make me read paragraphs when bullet points will do. All right, so you've got the UI kit. It's not... Actually, I just realized I'm reaching back to my bootcamp days and I'm thinking, oh, did you create these in Figma and or, in a UI somewhere? And that's not actually what matters for these case study reviews. So I'm going to keep scrolling. Main page fonts. This is good. I would call this out maybe a little bit bigger. This is tough to read, especially since this is a picture. You got section headers, section 1, 2, block 5, section 7. There's a lot going on. Oh, okay, so I think what I'm gathering here is that these are blocks on the front page, perhaps. Now I'm actually kind of confused what these sections mean. Give context when you're sharing something that isn't immediately apparent. So this isn't something that I typically see on a UX design case study. So give context. I created these because these are interchangeable modular items that we will use on the website. That just give me something to work with so that I know what I'm looking at. Always, always make sure people feel smart and not stupid. And when we don't have enough information, it's a human nature thing to feel like, oh, it's me that's wrong. Obviously, everybody else knows what's going on. So give people the opportunity to feel smart and capable. Product page fonts. But you only have one listed here, and there's a bunch of different things here. So I'm curious how these flow together. Also, double check your spelling. I know that up here you've got like block, and this might be very typical for where you are for using block, but a page font, that just is a finger slip. So double check your details, because attention to detail really matters to hiring managers. We need to know that you're going to put as much effort into the work that I pay you for as you would in order to get the job. So detail is important. Got a grid system. That's great. Looks like a mood board we've got going on here. Is that a cat? No, it's a scarf. Okay. Desktop wireframes. This isn't a great example of how to display your wireframes. It feels like these might be chunks that are meant to flow in like one long page, but based on your format, you've pulled it into little tiny pieces so that we only get to see a chunk at a time. Is this the final project and what you've got going on here? And that's what it looks like at the top of the page. So now I'm curious, the only context you've given me for the website is this. And so now I'm wondering what the existing site looked like and how it looks outdated. So give some context. Also, this is super close. Give that white space. Give me some space between that section of the UI and the desktop wireframes, because that way my brain, my cognitive processing knows, oh, new section, new information, I'm changing context. And once again, add some context for, I started with low fidelity. I started by just putting blocks on a screen in order to get a sense for what information needs to be prioritized to facilitate the best user experience for the people that you've mentioned, the target group up above. The solution, the main task of this redesign, was to modernize the existing website. A lot of emphasis was placed on giving the layout breathing space. Yes, breathing room, that white space. The existing site seems very clogged. It's a little cluttered. Product page has been split into two. Moving some of the options to the pop-up gives it lightness and adds space. I'm curious what the pop-up is. I think maybe that's what you mean with this. That would not be a pop-up. That would be more like a product banner or a hero image. A pop-up, I was really worried before I scrolled down, because when you say pop-up, it makes me think of a separate window, which impacts accessibility, but it also kind of changes the context for the user, and we don't necessarily know what's the most important information that I need to be paying attention to. So actually, this is a really beautiful design decision. I love what you've done here. Okay, so I think this is the previous and this is the new. I do like this. Gives a lot of space, a little room for the eye. You're absolutely right. Hi, Ange. Yeah, did you get some dinner? That's good. All right, so this is what the product page used to look like. Oh, so this looks royal now. We look expensive. We look, hey, we don't climb on the table, do we? We don't. That's right. She's like, well, then come pet me. Okay. Sorry, Angie is demanding some attention. All right. So the first page is very early. It's web 1.0. Let's be real. I mean, maybe we're on web 3.0, but like this is old school websites. This is very old and traditional, especially with that menu style. It definitely is giving early 2000s. This looks like a place you would expect to spend some money, and that's good. Flowers are, not saying they have to be a luxury, but like if you want to elevate the brand, then you want to make it look more expensive. Like it's valuable, like you're giving people luxury. So I'm loving this look. I'm not totally certain about your accessibility, but I'm going to trust that you hopefully checked it. I would probably pop that out just a little bit more to make sure, or make sure that the text size is big enough. But since I can't click into that, I really can't tell you one way or another. Let's see. Oh, you did in fact mean a real pop-up. Okay, so maybe this is part of the user experience, but what I'm seeing from this design is that there is no way for the user to escape. So if you are taking over their screen, you have taken control out of the hands of the users, and we don't typically want to do that. So you want to give them an example of, click here in order to bring up this pop-up and find out additional upsells or upgrades that you could have with your order. And always, always, always give someone an option to escape. They need emergency exits from anything that they're doing to ensure that they don't get trapped. This also, with the pop-up, starts to create, if it gets developed this way, this starts to create some real accessibility issues. So a person who is using a screen reader or a keyboard to navigate, and they don't have the ability to use a mouse, how would they get out of this interaction? It feels like they've been trapped in here and now they have no way to exit. So that is a little discordant, and I would advise not to do that. All right, so it looks like you've got the whole page. Once again, we don't have any context for your visual design, and this is the final project, but you like the whole page, but you've broken it into pieces in order to make it fit on this screen. This is why I think it would be appropriate to have maybe this whole thing as an image that you link to in your slide deck, and then it opens in the screen and they can make it bigger. Why am I yawning? This looks really good. You got a cute 404. You've got tablet options. That's great. Again, no context here for phone. Why is it necessary that we need phone? Really and truly, we know that we need phone, but what a hiring manager might be looking for is your understanding of why you would also design for a responsive device and what additional criteria you had to bring in or keep in mind while designing for a much smaller screen. Does that change the user experience at all? This visual is what I would have put at the top of the case study. This is cute. I like this. Well, it's an interesting phone. I don't know that phone. Is that an LG? So that is I'm going to give you a like. Oh, I have to sign in to do it. Oh, it's stupid. People should be able to like regardless. This is really good. I love that you've got visuals in here. You definitely need to add more context, bring people along. When people say, tell a story, it's a good idea to say, I found this website to work with because I wanted to buy someone flowers, and then bring me along in here was my experience. Especially if you didn't do user research or user testing, you still want to bring it back to what is the user experiencing. I think it's a really beautiful case study. I think the actual website is wonderful. I genuinely want to see more detail about this. But I really want to say, most of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to review your portfolio. I think you're going to see a lot of success. I really love that you've got a variety of different projects in here. So keep working on that. I would definitely consider making like a specific website for you. I'm actually going to point out something just because I'm now a customer. So card.co is a super basic one-page website, and it's free for one page. So you could consider building that site on one page and make it look really good. And that is your example. You could also use it for a portfolio website and have it linked to the different slide decks or the different images for your case studies. It could look really good. Anywho, I, once again, thank you so much for allowing me to review your portfolio. I genuinely can't wait to celebrate your success, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your night.